So today's the big day, everybody. The Diablo 4 Loot Reborn season begins, and it's going to be a heck of a ride. And hopefully, Blizzard will actually learn from their mistakes, and we finally might get the 1.0 release for Diablo 4 after, what, about 9 to 11 months? Great, yeah, right? The big thing now is what class should you pick, and how should you actually play for this new season to maximize yourself, have a great time, and really just get to level 100 and enjoy as much as possible. Well, you know what? I'm going to help you answer that question. Here we go. So with all that, let's start with the Barbarian, because even though right off the bat we are losing 10% innate damage reduction, the big bonus that we've gotten though as this class, whereas legendary powers that require Call of the Ancients to be equipped no longer have that requirement. So you can now really figure out what you want to do with this class and how you want to approach it with specific legendary powers that used to require Call of the Ancients, not needing it anymore, really just opening up specific kinds of builds and ways of playing, which is always a nice thing. Now, on top of that, let's talk about Dust Devils, because apparently in the PTR, you could basically just cover your entire screen with them, but now the max amount has been reduced to 15. I wonder how this is going to apply in terms of damage production or damage output compared to actually just covering the entire screen with them. Hopefully the balancing around that does some good job. Now those things may be a little bit of a deterrent for you, but the Barbarian has always been a very strong class, especially late end game, having the ability to have those 4 weapons, having all those skills, and the way Thorns applies to Barbs is really great too. And some of the changes to Razor Plate now and being able to have Razor Plate being masterworked, you can then apply a lot of really great affixes to Razor Plate to increase your Thorns damage on top of having everything else applied here as well. So the Barb may not have had a huge boost, but a boost nonetheless, even though there were some things taken away. So that definitely may be a good option to start for this league. So now let's talk about the Druid, and then let's not talk about the Druid and just throw that class away. No, I'm kidding. I know a lot of like big Druid fans in Diablo 4. Some of them were expecting the D2 Druid. Instead, they just got the actual meme of 17 damage off of that Hurricane from Racks and Tracks. Nice job. But there have been some changes, especially to the Druid. For Spirit Boons, Pack Leader, the cooldown has been reset chance from 20 to 25%. Spirit Restoration now is increased from 10 to 20. Masochistic, the critical strike healing increased from 3 to 5. Wariness has reduced the damage from elites from increase from 10 to 15. And there have been some skill changes as well to get some really good increases on top of that. So I don't think the Druid is going to be in the place that we want it to be, but it's definitely going to be increased in terms of like leveling in the early game, having a much better experience and things along that nature. So hopefully if you want to play a Druid, you'll have a better time than you did in the first couple of seasons, but I still personally think for me that's going to be a skip on this one for right now until some more drastic changes occur. Even though things like Tempest Roar have been increased and things along that nature that would definitely impact the Druid specifically, I feel like the Druid needs a lot more work compared to the other classes that are getting a lot more love right now. And here's what I'm going to start with on this league. It's going to be the Necromancer. Now, Minions have had a bit of a change in terms of how they're going to actually take stats and bonuses from how you provided your stats and bonuses comparatively to other seasons. So there may be some extra survivability in terms of how Minions will actually play and approach and attack things. We have things like Enhanced Blight, where the tooltip not correctly references the defiled area for the slow effect. Blood Mist then remove the speed reduction. Golem can now be activated while CC'd, so while you're crowd controlled, you can make yourself unstoppable after it actually happens. So it's a really nice little escape mechanic. Decompose has been reworked and reworded. All of these things have been changed for Army of the Dead. I feel like the list for Minions has grown so exponentially great that I feel like this is going to be the class to play. And in fact, Maxwell pointed out that Necromancer Minions is going to be one of the top classes to actually play this league in an S tier. So now, even though I may not always agree with Maxwell personally, I feel like they're actually 100% right on this. Necromancer Minions may be in fact something really huge this league because of the way the stats have been changed and how things are going to be approaching for Minions specifically. So now on top of that, with the Barbarian, like we talked about before, we're going to be seeing Razor Plate may in fact play a major role in that, because applying Thorns to Minions may be something that people might actually start working with. Now I know Rod Ferguson talked about that in the beginning when Diablo 4 first came out, but it was never really viable. Now with Masterworking though, you could apply something like this for that Minion class and do something a little bit more fun and janky, maybe even progress with that as well. So opening up more playstyles with Uniques and Masterworking could be a great thing, and Minions may have this league on lock, in my opinion. The Rogue has always been solid. The Rogue has always been solid since day one. If you want a good class that will do a lot of damage, that has a good amount of utility, that can just play the game well, you cannot go wrong with a Rogue. They're going to do things that everybody else wants to do, but they are so consistent with how this class is designed, you can really just do anything and succeed. So honestly, there haven't been a lot of changes to the Rogue, except for their new skill where it's going to volley onto the enemy rather than just actually just spraying everywhere and blowing up, which is going to be really nice. And having those small minor changes to make that class a little bit better is going to be a nice thing as well. So Rogue a good second pick if you want to go after that. Rogue is always going to be a good choice regardless. So definitely check this out as well. Now the Sorcerer is going to be the second class I highly recommend, right behind the Necromancer. In fact, I'd put them pretty much tied. I played a Firewall Sorc in League 2 and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic, but mana was always an issue with the Generator Spender. Here though, things may be a little bit different. Mastery skills are now also considered core skills. In addition, you've got some bonus damages to a lot of your skills, but Flame Shield enhancement has had some changes. Previously, Flame Shield automatically activated upon taking fatal damage. This effect can only happen once every 120 seconds. But now though, Flame Shield automatically activates after having a cumulative loss of 100% of maximum life, and can only happen once every 30 seconds. Now the thing with this is because a lot of people were using this and the cheat death mechanic to avoid dying in hardcore. Guess what? You can't do that anymore. So apparently now when you play hardcore as a sorcerer, guess what? You're going to have to play hardcore. That's still a good change though, in my opinion. I feel like that was actually honestly overpowered because I would abuse that quite often in the previous league. So good on this change to make things a little bit more fair as well. On top of that though, the frozen orb distance, you can actually control it now, so you can figure out where things want to go. In addition to that, you have a 45% increased damage when you are set as healthy during the orb explosion and things along that nature. Now, a slight change that I think is a very good idea with the Flame Weaver unique gloves is that Flame Weaver now splits firebolts to 3 instead of 4, and the damage is buffed from 30% to 70. Instead of 10 to 30. So if you cast Firebolt through your firewall, you get 3 bolts instead of 4, but the damage bonus isn't going to go from 10 to 30, it's going to go from 30 to 70. So that could be a viable strat this league, with Firebolt Firewall Sorcerers being a big deal as well. These changes honestly make me feel like the Sorcerer could in fact be up there, especially with Frozen Orb and with Firewall as well. So honestly, in my opinion, you're going to be seeing some big changes and a lot of Necromancers and a lot of Sorcerers this league. Now, of course, I did not cover every single patch note in this league because it is incredibly long and detailed. I want to give you just my thoughts and ideas of what would be the best class to start with for this league. The really great thing though is that leveling from 1 to 100 has been pretty much squished, so it's going to be a lot easier to do that for you as well. And just a lot of the way that Hell Tides are designed could in fact help a lot of players level up. So if you get to a high level with a character or a class that you think you kind of like but not sure and you want to test something else out, it may not be a bad idea to try something else this league too, especially if you have the time. But for me, this league, here are my actual recommendations. Number 1, Necromancer. Number 2, Sorcerer. I'm going to tie that also with the Barbarian. Number 3, I'm going to put the Rogue, and number 4, I'm going to put the Druid. I still feel like that class needs a lot of work and a lot of you guys are hurting right now. But hopefully these new itemization changes really help out and you guys have a great time this league. I know I'll be playing it as well, and hopefully Diablo 4 comes back because it needs to come back. So you know what? Let me know what you guys are going to pick in the comment section down below for this league. I will definitely be doing my Necromancer Sorcerer builds, and we're going to see hopefully that the new itemization and masterworking does a great job with the actual game as well and brings new life back into this game before we got to spend $100 on an expansion. Don't act like I don't know. Now, if you liked the video as well today, subscribe. We are on our way to 1K subscribers, and we are doing other kinds of content here as well, from Path of Exile, Last Epoch, and D4 guides, to also news and updates about the ARPG genre as well. Once again, y'all, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you next time.